What is up, everybody, and welcome to the video. Today's video is going to be a pretty informative one for you guys living here in Okinawa, and even you guys out in America or whatever country you're in. It's going to be a look in at how we do our JCI here in Japan. JCI stands for Japanese Compulsory Insurance or Inspection. We have to get the inspection done. I already paid for the insurance. I'm going to go over a little bit of how the process of that goes, and we're going to head down to Foster Joint Vehicle Registration Office and go through the inspection line and hopefully pass with the GTR. I think she's gonna be good to go. So I picked this spot because it's got an amazing view and it's right between the two bases I'm commuting between, but holy cow, these bugs are loud on these trees. Plus we got F-15s and F-16s flying over. All right, we're gonna have to dip out of here to keep talking. These bugs are insanely loud. I just wanna show you guys the view. Absolutely gorgeous view looking down towards American Village where we have a lot of the car meets, and Naha down that way. Alrighty, now it's a little bit quieter without those giant cicadas. I still hear them, but we're over at the JSVRO now, which is like a DMV for the military people here in Okinawa. This morning we went to the insurance place at the USO on Kadena. There's plenty of insurance places here you guys can get this done at if you're watching the video in Okinawa. There's one over here on Foster right at the gas station. There's a couple out in town that'll do it as well. But first you have to purchase that Japanese compulsory insurance, and it was about $119, I think. 12,800 yen, somewhere around that. And now we're gonna head into the JSVRO and pay our vehicle weight tax and our inspection fee. So should be looking at around another $170, $180, and hopefully all goes well. Hopefully I can video the actual inspection portion of it. With the inspection portion of it, they check for leaks, they check for cracks in the windshield, structural damage, not too much on rust really, because there's some super rusty cars here in Okinawa. If it affects the structural integrity of the car, obviously it would fail the inspection. Some of the things they look at are the catalytic converter, making sure that's on there. They make sure your exhaust isn't too loud, which I don't think mine should be because I put the catalytic converter and the stock downpipe back on this weekend. So hopefully it all goes smooth there. I think I might have a small leak. Occasionally I'll see a little bit of gear oil in the transmission area, right where the transmission bell housing mates to the engine block. But hopefully it goes smooth. I wiped it down just to make sure, and I didn't see anything yesterday. And hopefully all goes smooth. It was raining this morning. That would have been a nice plus to make sure they didn't see any leaks, but now it's sunny and hot, so let's get this started. Oh yes, and don't forget to write down your kilometers before you go inside or take a picture. All right, quick update, absolutely easy process so far. Walked in the JSVRO, went to the desk on the very right, paid the 15,900 yen, about $140, $145. But that has to be paid in yen, so bring yen. You also, well, the insurance place you can pay with card or yen, so that one doesn't really matter, but bring yen for your weight tax here to the JSVRO. And also you have to bring $25 for the inspection office fee. And that has to be in dollars, not yen, and can't use a card. So $25 in US dollars, and then, you know, about $300-ish so far in yen, or 30,000. Now we are heading over to window number 5 to start this inspection. All right, let's hope and pray everything goes smooth because I don't want to do this more than once. So I'm probably not gonna film whenever I actually get to go up there. Right now he's checking my paperwork, but what they're doing right now is checking all the windows, the lights, and all that kind of stuff. So actually I do step out and they take care of the car inside the inspection. Did the windshield wipers, the horn, the e-brake, doing the windows. I believe they put it on some sort of alignment machine in there as well. Now with the hood popped, I'm not really sure what they're checking. I guess probably just battery connections, normal stuff like that. Oh yeah, they also check for the RB26 written on the side of it, down at the very bottom of the block. And that's a very common thing. I actually had to sand it down a little bit before we came here, so if you have a GTR here in Okinawa, make sure you see that little RB26 visible down under your intake manifold. Alright, so they did have me jump back in the vehicle for this part, so I'm not going to be able to film what's actually happening. Pretty crazy. It's checking the headlight alignment and everything right now with this machine that passes in front of us. We did a test with the brakes where I was on a roller and had to mash on the brakes. Now it's measuring the headlight output and alignment, I guess. And now up on the lift it goes to check the undercarriage. machine doing its thing. So we ended up in lane 3, which means we did not pass, thanks to a brake line little bolt that was loose, and one that actually didn't even have a bolt, and also the passenger side CV boot is torn. 3 extremely simple things that could have been prevented, but I just did not notice inspecting it the other day. So I guess the inspection's not completely over with yet. He's got to drive it around and I guess feel the 4-wheel drive system. And stalled it out. Now they're measuring the decibels of the exhaust. Alrighty, real quick update about what's going on. The car failed for a loose bolt, a missing bolt, both on the brake line, that just the bracket that holds the brake lines up on the assembly and everything, and for the torn power steering boot on the passenger side. I went to the hobby shop, I ordered a power steering boot. It's gonna be here this afternoon at 1400. I've never replaced one before by myself, but I'm gonna give it a go. It shouldn't be too hard. All the shops were booked up for the day. I'm just trying to get this done as soon as possible so I can get it back over to the JSVRO and make this thing good to go for the next 2 years. But right now I'm at work. I had to stop in here. I gotta do a few things. Hopefully I can get out of here early this afternoon and go pick up that boot and try to get it installed today. If not today, maybe tomorrow or the next day. And if it has to go into maybe the weekend, I think I have about a week for my JCI to get accomplished after I've already failed the inspection. So I will pick you guys up in a little while. So I said I would pick you guys up in a little bit, but it's actually been about 5 days. We are at the Kadena Auto Hobby Shop right now. Gonna go try and put this boot on. Like I said before, I've actually never done a power steering boot, but I don't think it's gonna be anything too hard. I got some lube and some plastic bags to kind of put the lube on and maybe not have to take off the tie rods. So we'll see. But let's head in there and get up on a lift. Alright, so all I've done so far is remove the wheel, and let me show you guys the torn power steering boot. More like ripped apart than torn. Right there, completely separated from that part. So it shouldn't be too hard. We just gotta disconnect the tie rod right there and drop it down. And I don't think I'm gonna have to take this whole thing off. Hopefully the plastic bag and lube trick will work. But if not, then we'll actually have to take the tie rod itself off. Shouldn't be too hard of a job. And then the other things I got hit for were, let's see if I can get, yep, right there, is just the bracket. It has no bolt in it, so I gotta get a bolt and feed it through there. And then on the other side, the same exact bolt was just a little bit loose. And those are the 3 main things I got dinged on for my JCI. A little bit of a lack of light. I didn't bring my light with me either, but I'm just getting the cotter pin out right now, and then we'll take this nut off and hopefully be able to drop it down. Alright, so we got the cotter pin and the nut removed. Now we're just gonna get this tie rod down. I do have this tool right here. I'm a little afraid I might damage that boot using this one, so I'm gonna be real careful. I might just try to hammer it down without the tool at first, because I don't wanna rip another boot before I even get the new one on. Boom, disconnected, but the trick I was gonna use with the plastic bags to go over that just to slide the new boot on is definitely not gonna work, because that is a teeny little hole to slip over that whole thing right there. I don't even know if that's the correct size. That is insanely small compared to the other one. But I think we're actually gonna have to take it off, but we're gonna mark it just so we know where it's at so we don't have to get another alignment. Alrighty, finally got the tie rod end off. It actually took me a lot longer than it should have. I was kind of scared because it was really hard to break that bolt loose, and you don't want to move that bolt too much because that is your alignment right there. I only backed it off just a little bit, and I counted how far down it was on the actual tie rod right here, so should be easy to go back on and not affect my alignment. Now we're just gonna rip this boot off and get the other one on there, hopefully. Alrighty, we have the fresh boot on there now. Took a minute, but finally figured it out. I ended up going ahead and taking the nut off, but I marked how far it was down just so my alignment won't be off. Got the tie rod end back on. Still got to put the castle nut and the cotter pin back in and tie everything up down here. I'm gonna go see if I can find a bolt that'll go into that brake line bracket though that I also failed for. Alrighty, everything is back together. Got the tie rod end on there, the boot. found a bolt for this side and tightened the one on that side. And the other last thing I actually failed for was the exhaust. All right, that's gonna be really loud, but the other last thing, I'm never gonna get this done. The exhaust was touching the bumper, but I have since taken one of the hangers off and it's hanging a little bit lower now. All right, we are back at the house. That was a little more than I thought it was gonna be. I just ran into a couple hiccups. First, thinking I was gonna be able to not have to take off the tie rod end. That was kind of pissed me off as soon as I figured out I was gonna have to take it off. And then getting it off wasn't too bad, but I actually hit the top of the tie rod end with a hammer and I think I mushroomed the head just a little bit. So it was kind of hard to get that castle nut back on there. I really had to work with it to make it go back on there, but it finally did. And we got everything fixed. We got the boot replaced, the one screw tightened, added another screw in there to another bracket, and moved the exhaust down just a little bit. To do that, all I did was just take off two of the hangers and it hangs down just a little bit more, and that made it work just fine. So now the GTR should be good to go. Tomorrow we are going to take it to finish the JCI, and then hopefully that's it until it's time to leave here, and then we'll get it ready for shipping, but nothing else will be due. The JCI will be good for 2 years and I only have 10 months left, so good to go. So we will continue this video on tomorrow whenever we make it to the JCI place. And just like that, it is tomorrow. We are over at the JSVRO again. We had to pay a 1,300 yen stamp fee again or something like that. It's about $11, so no big deal. And now we're gonna head back to lane 5 to hopefully finish up this JCI. As long as everything goes good, they should only be checking those 4 things that I failed for. And if everything is good, we'll be good to go. A lot more people this time doing their JCIs themselves. Even a little step wagon. Makes me miss ours. Back up she goes. Fingers crossed, everything's good. Should be. We did it. The Skyline has passed JCI and it's good to go. So what I'm pretty sure the process is, now that we're in lane 4, we're just gonna wait on our paperwork and then we're gonna take it inside back to the JSVRO, which is like the DMV for you guys who aren't in Okinawa. And then they'll finish processing the paperwork and we'll be completely done and good to go for 2 years. And there you have it. We have passed JCI. So now the last step is to head back into the JSVRO and take care of all the paperwork in there. And that's pretty much all there is to a JCI. It's not very complicated at all. People make it out to be some kind of super complicated thing, but it really wasn't bad at all. It just took a little while because I had to fix a couple things on the car. But as you can see, it is a little bit later now and I am off of work and I just picked up Mason from school and he is all in the Pokemon game right now. We're doing some Pokemon Go out here at the playground. But I could do a whole video on that, so I'm not gonna bother you guys with that for this video. I hope this JCI video actually helps some of you guys out, especially you guys here in Okinawa. And for you guys not in Okinawa, just kind of give you an idea of what inspections are like here in Japan. I was figuring it out myself. This was my first time actually JCI in a car myself, so I'm sorry if it wasn't so straightforward and easy to see, but hopefully I was able to lay it out and make you guys a little confident to be able to do it yourselves.
He jumped to the Pokeball, the rat did.
Crazy Pokemon. Some other things to remember for JCI that I'm thinking of kind of here after the fact. If you don't have a stock steering wheel, you're supposed to swap your steering wheel back over to the factory one with the airbag. But the R32 GTR, my year at least, didn't come with an airbag, so it was okay to have the aftermarket steering wheel. There was a whole list of things on that sheet that they gave us after I had failed the first time. I might take a picture of that sheet and post it at the very end of the video just so you guys can take a look. But it's all pretty simple things. If you have a decent car, it's probably gonna pass. There's just little, easy, normal maintenance, wear and tear things you need to fix before going. You catching anything good?
Not yet.
So, a quick recap to end the video. Go to your insurance place to get your JCI insurance. USO on Kadena, that's where I went. After that, you head over to the JSVRO and take care of absolutely everything there. If you pass, you're completely done, and that is it. And if you fail, you can do the repairs yourself or take your car to a shop, whichever you prefer, and then go back to the JSVRO on Foster. Believe it or not, these waves are actually pretty big for Okinawa. Normally we don't see them this large, unless there's a storm out there, which is the reason. There's a couple typhoons off the coast a little ways out, and unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, they're not coming and gonna hit us. I enjoy the typhoons. We ended up getting stranded inside, get to spend family time together, and just hang out and watch the crazy storm unfold outside. But not this time. So the whole point of the video, do your own JCI, save $300 or $400, because we paid $500 for the Evo to get JCI'd, and I just did the GTR for less than $300. So definitely worth it to save a few dollars and not have to pay those ridiculous shop fees. I hope this video was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys very soon in the next one. As always, thanks for watching.